I was thinking on streaming on Charles World a few nights ago. We struck up a conversation. So we have good conversations on there too. And I was thinking to myself, someone mentioned something like, "Are you glad that you escaped just the world of the world of TV or movies or something like that?" It was something to that effect, you know. I mean, I'm not in a freaking, wasn't in doing AAA things where you have to, put on knee pads or something like that to get some stuff. It was purely based on talent and quality. And I mean, I don't know what happens when you get deals for many years, but I don't think there's anything. I mean, where I wasn't a freaking high paying deal, you know what I mean? As the years go on, it gets better, but it wasn't signing $1 million contracts or anything like that, you know what I mean? But it was still something good to consider, in that having a lifestyle in the industry is generally speaking something to be avoided, I guess, unless you sort of have integrity. But it's just something, and it got me thinking. It got me thinking of wealth and the accumulation of wealth, and how, when I really think about it, one big factor that is really conducive to asking the right questions is not wealth. In most cases, and maybe even all, if you haven't had a taste of poverty or nightmares, or you have a gigantic accumulation of wealth, then I would find it very, very, very difficult to ask the right questions. So I thought about that for a little bit, and I got to worrying. Not worrying, but I got to be happy that certain events in my life have really inspired me to ask questions of a spiritual nature. Let me just put it that way. Because when you have certain things, let's say certain prospects or whatever, that will allow you to do good things with a modest accumulation of wealth. Because what else is there to do with money? What else is there to do besides buy your friends and family things that they need, like houses or freaking cars or whatever the hell? Pay things off for them. Like, what else is there to do besides that with wealth? What else is there to do but to give it away or fund things that you want to work on? That's impossible to get funding in the world that we're in right now. You can't get funded. Well, in the industry, those days are done. TV, movie, music, even video game, those days are done. Those days are done. The gatekeeping is thoroughly established. You cannot get in. Impossible to get in. Cannot do it unless you have a certain attitude. But so I was thinking, what woe unto those that accumulate too much wealth and don't give it away. I guess I would quote the Bible right now, but y'all's probably could quote it better, and
these dreams always make my night.
I'm not Mr. Bible, so I guess if I could recite them, I would, but I'm not. I'm going off of my own enjoyment. If you I mean, unless you're hyper, unless you're spiritually aware, unless you're really, really smart, unless you have incredible integrity, and or you've experienced incredible poverty and your own murder and assassination, and, you know, your hopes to furnish friends and family with things that would make their life better when you have those hopes sort of dashed on the rocks, you have an opportunity to look elsewhere for momentum. And it's just really, for people that have mansions, many mansions, if you have so much in this world and you're anchored to this world with your material gains, when you take into account that, it seems like you have spiritually what you give away materially. There's one thing being relatively comfortable, or rather safe from being murdered and assassinated and having a mob take your livelihood from you. There's one thing is having defense against that, an accumulation or an insurance against that sort of thing. That's something. And having, you know, a roof and clothing and just that sort of bullshit. You know, you get what I'm saying. You have that. But if you have a wild amount of material accumulation, it seems to me like it's a death sentence. How could you ever be looking outside of your own life or your own situation if you're so comfortable? The only thing, you don't have to worry about anything. You have everything you need. You have more, way more than you need. If you're not overly concerned with making your wealth work for you, in that providing to those that don't have anything, and I'm not the biggest man into charity, because the people that run the charities make all the money, embezzle all the money, etc., etc. We don't have to worry about that. And if you know, you can give a bum a dollar, you know, just buy rock with it, and then walk into traffic and die right in front of you, and look over to you as he's dying. You know, you can do that. You can waste your money. Sure, there are institutions that would be better to handle that than one man alone. Ah! But if you're not concerned with furnishing those that you know could use whatever, what do you have when it's time to die? What do you have when it's time to die? And you may be judged at how much you keep. You may be judged by how much you keep. You may be judged by how much you give away. How much you don't give away. I just don't find it likely that someone who has accumulated an incredible amount of material wealth, they're not likely to be asking those questions or even thinking about the afterlife or judgment. And you don't necessarily do these things because you fear judgment, though I guess that's a healthy fear. Sure, that's a healthy fear. You do those things because you feel better giving away the excess. I do think about that sometimes. And I don't think I'm not in any danger of the overaccumulation of wealth, but there are very few well, I have dreams. There are not many dreams that I have that are bigger or better or more good. I don't know how to, I'll just leave it at that, than having excess wealth to buy friends and family things, or send them to places, or do crazy things with them. You know what I mean? There are dreams of, sure, making a lot of money. I guess you can have a big house. What are you gonna do with a big house? But there are other dreams too. Buying those things for people who you know that could have a less daunting life. Those are the dreams that are good. And those are oftentimes the biggest motivators, but everything can be taken from you. Things that are coming your way can be taken from you by way of filthy treachery, etc., etc. So, at the very least, you have to have your thoughts on the spiritual gains in this life. Not because out of fear, though, like I said, fear of judgment or that sort of thing isn't exactly the worst fear. It's just something that you have. I don't know if you're born with it, or I don't know if you're raised into having that sort of charity. I have no idea. I don't know. I just know that it is a good thing to have. Matthew 8-10. Jesus is tempted by Satan in the wilderness. I was just on there, and on a few versions of it. And Satan takes him out to the top of a mountain. Sure. Offers him all the nations and kingdoms of the world. See, I was thinking of this too. I was thinking this exact thing when I was reading it, so I'm really, really happy that you brought this up. Because Satan wouldn't be able to furnish Christ with something he didn't already have control of. He offers him all the nations and kingdoms in the world if Jesus would bow down and worship him. A question that really struck with me is, how could Satan offer Jesus the kingdoms of the world if Satan didn't already rule them himself? Well, thanks for bringing that up, man. That's what you get if you want power or you want material gain. Satan could not offer those things if they weren't already under his control. After all, the frickin' God of this world controls the material, controls the low prison that we're in. Every time I'd be on that section, I'd say, how has he offered this thing? I always thought it was like an illusion. When I'd watch a Jesus movie or something like that, when I'd see the mirage in the desert, all of this will be yours. I said, that's an illusion, that's fake. But then when you realize it wasn't fake, it was a genuine offer of all the nations of the world, because they were already under the control of that principality. So if you like to accumulate power or financial wealth in excess, you know what is served. And you know what is served, the material realm. Hey, you want to make a living, you're successful, that's great. But if you're not asking the right questions, you're not asking the right questions, you might have something in this world, but you ain't happy.